that keeps coming up. There's a lot, there's hardly any area of human life that has more people weighing in with opinions than diet. And so there's tons of people saying, oh my gosh, you know, I had a cousin who was on that and they their arms fell off, you know, and it's just all these outlandish stories. And so
it seems too good to be true. You know, take this drug and all of a sudden you're just going to lose all the weight that you want. But it's not that simple, and it's certainly not that easy. There's a lot of work involved in this protocol, and it's about completely changing everything, the way people are eating.
Okay, that's fair enough. What are the chances of people keeping the weight off after they finish the protocol?
So it has been going on for so long that since 1954, 80% of the people that have successfully completed this protocol, i.e. done everything I said, have not gained the weight back. If you go through the actual changes and let your metabolism reset and don't do the sugar and the starch in phase 3, going back to the different phases, phase 3 is no sugar and no starch, and that's where we keep the hypothalamus from having anything that can be transferred into sugar to cross the blood-brain barrier, because that's when it's actually resetting and in that stable blood sugar stable, and people eat every 2 hours, you know, just a bite of something, but it's keeping the blood sugar stable, and then having a really good diet, and then walking and water and all the things that are involved in the foundations of health.
Okay. Now these questions are kind of all around the board here at the end. Should people be concerned about if they wanted to purchase something online from China or India? You can get stuff online. Have you heard anything about that? Because I know you buy
those websites, and I mean we buy HCG directly from the manufacturers here in the United States. So yeah, I have some concerns about quality control, where those drugs are coming from, who's manufacturing them. I feel definitely much more comfortable having U.S. made drugs that we're buying directly from the pharmaceutical companies.
All right. Here's a good one. If HCG works so well for weight loss, why don't pregnant women lose weight? That's a good
they're
one.
They're feeding a growing baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, and they're probably eating way more than 500 calories. So
here's a weird one, but it's kind of restating the obvious. Will a person's metabolism slow down if they're on this low-calorie diet? But you already answered that. They're not really on a low-calorie diet. They're burning.
Yeah, no. If anything, their metabolism is actually stimulated because their body thinks that they're pregnant and that there's a baby to support. And you know, as you probably remember, being the dad of 5 kids, I mean, women tend to get osteoporosis and muscle wasting if they don't supplement and eat well. But you know, we were created that way so that in times of war or true starvation, that we could produce a full-term fetus, and it works the same way in men.
Okay. Rumor has it, among people talking about this, that some people who've tried this diet were very hungry. Do you have a way of addressing that? If they're starving, they're probably not going to stick with it.
Yeah.
What do you make adjustments for?
Well, part of the beauty of naturopathic medicine is that it's so individual. So we base our protocol here at the Lake Oswego Chiropractic Clinic off of Dr. Simeon's original protocol, but it's very individual, and that's part of why I spend so much time with each patient, is to make sure that their vitamin and mineral status is maintained, that they're not losing any muscle, and that they're losing the amount of weight that they're supposed to. And what was the rest
So you can make adjustments if they're hungry?
And then if they're too hungry, usually it's that the dosage is off. So there's ranges of dosages, but what I find people actually sometimes need to be tuned. So if they're too hungry, their dosage is probably too high.
Okay, so you can correct it, because I've heard people say that they were starving and they probably didn't have a physician to help them change their dosage or calories. And then, I'm sure you'll go over this with individual patients. Does this interfere with medications people are taking, especially birth control pills or Depo-Provera injections?
Well, birth control and aspirin are actually the 2 drugs that are allowed on the protocol for Dr. Simeon, and I've had great success with women especially women, but who had hypothyroidism and told me that if I had them not take their thyroid medication, that they would just be on the floor. And I'm so excited to say that abutting the HCG with their last dose of thyroid, every single person has been completely fine, because it takes over that endocrine function and it's resetting the thyroid as well.
Wow. Well, this is obviously not something aimed at treating hypothyroidism or hypoadrenalism, but it sometimes has that side effect of...
Well, it's in the endocrine system cascade, so it's affected too.
Sure.
Yeah. And then food allergies is another thing that has come up as well clinically, because people are off all of the major food allergens: wheat, dairy, sugar, soy, corn, because they're just going back to the basics of good protein, good vegetables, and good fruit. And so I find that a lot of women, especially, I see a lot of men, but more women at the moment, but celiac disease, gluten intolerant, lactose intolerance, a lot of these things come up because people have never given their bodies an opportunity to rest from all of these different things that cause inflammation.
Well, I know celiac disease, irritable bowel syndrome, is a huge and growing epidemic among young people, which is surprising. Yeah. So that's very interesting. And
given wheat at an earlier and earlier age as babies, and so there's a lot of side benefits clinically that have not only weight loss does this address, but a multitude of other health conditions as well.
Okay. Have you come across, or do you have obviously this would be a personal preference, of sublingual versus injectable HCG?
I've read a lot online about homeopathic HCG and sublingual HCG, and Dr. Simeon did his original protocol. He had patients actually in his clinic staying inpatient, and so he did directly in the vein. So that's not really so practical for our purposes since we don't have an inpatient clinic, but if we do subcutaneous, injecting right into the fat, we do around the belly button, and that seems to be very effective because you're putting it right into the body. And so there's studies online that say the sublingual works, but I don't have clinical experience with it.
All right. So the people would essentially to become involved with this program, they just call the clinic and make an appointment with you and come in.
That sounds awesome.
All right.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.